Next story is amazing. It's the story of Tori Ann Hansen. She lives, of course, in the United States, in Tennessee. She adopted a Russian boy by the name of Artyom Savelyev, and they lived together for some time, and then she decided, I can't take this anymore, I'm going to give the kid back. So what she did was she put a note in the kid's hands, basically, sent her mom with him to Washington, and then from Washington, her mom, the grandmother in this case, put the kid on a plane to Moscow with the note in his hand and just sent him by himself. He's 7 years old, okay? And they just gave the kid back. And so then they said, hey, look, the note said to bring him back to the authorities, the proper authorities in Moscow, so they can, you know, put him back in the orphanage or whatever, you know, wherever they got him. Now, Tori Ann Hansen says that she was lied to. She says, quote, this child is mentally unstable, he is violent, and has severe psychopathic issues. I was lied to and misled by the Russian orphanage workers and director regarding his mental stability and other issues. She says, after giving my best to this child, I am sorry to say that for the safety of my family, friends, and myself, I no longer wish to parent this child. Now, I didn't realize that that's how adoption worked. You just say, okay, I no longer wish to parent this child, and I have the receipt. Okay. No, it's crazy, right? Absolutely nuts. And so the Russians are irate over this. And there's been a couple of other incidents I'll tell you about in a second in regards to American families that have adopted Russian kids, to the point now where the Russian government is considering banning all adoption from Russia to America, which is a very strong move. And if they do, that would be would shake things up. There's no question about that. But they think it's gotten to an extreme. Now, before you make your conclusion on this and think, okay, well, that, you know, she's definitely in the wrong, you should also hear what she had to say about the specifics, though. She told the Associated Press, he drew a picture of our house. She says she tried and tried and tried to get him to behave, but he would constantly act out and spit and hit people, etc., etc. And then she says, he drew a picture of our house burning down, and he'll tell anybody that he's going to burn our house down with us in it. It got to be where you feared for your safety. It was terrible. Now, we've all seen the movies, right, where you adopt a kid and it turns out it's actually like a 38-year-old Romanian, and it's a dwarf or something. I think that was Orphan, right? They shouldn't make movies like that. Anyway, so, you know, if she feared for the safety of her family, etc., then it makes it a little bit more complicated. I think I have a ruling on it, but, you know, let's put it this way. It's not black and white, because if you adopt this child and he's constantly talking about burning down your house and everybody in it, yeah, of course, you're worried about that. But I'm curious what you think, JR. I mean, what do you do in that case?
Before I heard the details, I was starting to give her a little bit of that benefit of the doubt. I mean, obviously, maybe she's insane, you know, but
and we don't know who's telling the truth either, so let's be clear on that.
Yeah, I had that option open that she could completely be just, you know, sick of the responsibility of just having a kid that sometimes throws a tantrum like any kid does, right? Mm-hmm. But I was like, but maybe there could be something. Or maybe she said, you know, because if you're going to adopt a kid, I think you have the right, I mean, I don't know how it works as far as, you know, internationally, but I think you have the right, if you're going to adopt a kid, you say, well, I don't want a special needs child, because maybe you don't have the capacity, the money, or the patience. And really, it's going to make the kid's life worse. So if they say this kid is completely normal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with him, he has no mental instability, and he does, that is kind of a, you know, well, I mean, and you know,
no, JR, I hear you 100%, and that's what's so tough about adoption, because it involves human beings. And so, but here's how I see adoption. I think, look, you have a right not to get lied to by the orphanage, right? Obviously. And then you could maybe take some action about that. Maybe you could sue them. I don't know. Again, internationally it gets a lot more complicated, right? But I don't think you can give the kid back. I mean, it's a human being. It's not like, hey, you told me that the Monopoly set had the car and the thimble, and I couldn't find the thimble, so I'm going to give it back. You know, no, you can't have it. Can't play with it. You made a commitment that I don't think you can turn around from. And if you don't turn around from it and you honor your commitment, then I have tremendous sympathy for you. And I think we got to find a way to help you, you know, meet that commitment, counseling, whatever it is, right? But putting a kid just by himself, without the mom even going, putting him on a plane, just sending him back, there's something really gross about that. And so I can certainly see why the Russians are livid over it.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it seem like that approach was the way to go.
Yeah.
But, I mean, without the details of wondering how this happened or if it happened the way she said it happened and all that, then, you know. But if it did happen that way, you got to wonder what is the other alternative. Maybe she could look into something and say, listen, this is what happened. I need to do this, this, and that. But I don't really see how they would allow her to do that either. It's kind of hard to say, where can I give this kid to now? Take it to one of our orphanages because, I mean, ours are so empty.
Yeah, it's terrible. Look, a couple of quick details on him. There's 1,600 Russian children that are adopted every year by the United States. So if they stop the adoption process, it would be quite significant. And she says that they explained to the United Airlines stewardess what the situation was. Plus, they paid a guy $200 to make sure that the kid got safely to the place that he was supposed to go, which is the Russian Education and Science Ministry. Now, but the reason that the Russians continue to be angry, first of all, they think that's definitely not good enough. No, you should bring him yourself at the very, very, very least, right? But the real problem, you know, she says she was worried about the violence. But so far, the problem hasn't been Russian kids that are violent in America. It's been American parents that are violent to the Russian kids. Here are 3 other cases that the Russians are mad about. In 2006, Peggy Sue Hilt of Manassas, Virginia, was sentenced to 25 years in prison after being convicted of fatally beating a 2-year-old girl she adopted from Siberia. In 2008, Kimberly Emil-Yantsev of Tule, Utah, was sentenced to 15 years after pleading guilty to killing a Russian infant in her care. And in March of this year, prosecutors in Pennsylvania met with a Russian diplomat to discuss how to handle the case of a couple accused of killing their 7-year-old adopted Russian son at their home near the town of Dillsburg. This is all according to the Associated Press. So, so the Russians are like, wait, let me get right. Who's violent and who's not violent? You guys are the violent ones. You're the one, you know, that had 3 different cases of killing the kids, and now you send them back because they're too violent? It doesn't look good for our side, let's put it that way. And look, if you're going to do the adoption, it's a really interesting and oftentimes tough commitment. You got to be at 1,000,000% sure that not only are you going to be able to handle it if you think it goes the way you think it's going to go, but you got to be able to handle it if it goes in a way that you don't expect. That's part of being a parent. So that's our conclusion.